Today I'm going to cover a new topic, and it's called Canvas. What happened was they decided as HTML advanced, they decided that they needed some official way to actually treat the screen like something you draw on, like you draw pictures on or whatever you want to do. And even though we've done a bunch of animations and various things, what we haven't done, if you've noticed, I haven't written any programs where you can actually take the mouse and you can draw stuff on the screen. Because it turns out that's very hard to do in HTML. You have to do a lot of stuff. So what they did was, they invented this new thing called Canvas. And what they wanted to do was, they wanted to take everything that they had already done, all the different structural things they had, and they wanted to put them together and to give you a space to work on, a canvas to work on. And then they were going to put commands in that allows you to draw or put pictures in it or sound or whatever you want to do. And they called it Canvas. And so what I want to do is show you how to use that. It can be, the Canvas screen can be the whole page. You can open up to the entire size of the screen if you wanted to. Normally what people do is they have a little canvas inside the screen, and then they have the outside. It's sort of like it's like a window, and in the window you can do stuff. Okay, and that's the way I work with it. I usually make it like a 500 by 500 pixel place to work. It doesn't really make any difference. You can make it as big as you want. The interesting thing about the canvas is that normally when we move the mouse and we get different locations on the screen, like if we use the mouse.js, you can find it where you are on the screen. Well, I've written one for Canvas, explicitly for Canvas, so that when you're using Canvas, where the mouse is on the screen is actually where the mouse is in the canvas. So for example, if it's 500 from 0 to 500, it'll give you a number in the x direction from 0 to 500, and the y direction from 0 to whatever you make it 500 also. Whereas the entire screen, as you know, is like 2,000 or something. It's big. But it doesn't, it ignores those numbers. It just deals within the range of the canvas. And that's very handy because when you're going to do stuff on the canvas, you want to, it's the location in the canvas is what you're interested in, not where you are on the screen. So that's the reason why I set it up like that. Okay, to begin with, you don't have, I didn't get a projector. When I looked at the results of that thing, it was okay for us maybe, but it was awful for the people at home. So I decided that that's not the way to do it. I'm not going to go that route anymore. I'm going to have to, they have a new kind of camera down at Evening. I'm going to pick it up and see what that's like. They say that it will actually shoot all three screens. It's got 3 cameras on it. And if that's true, we might be able to do it that way. Then I could have projecting going at the same time. That would work out. But for our purposes today, I'm just going to use the usual strategy of using just the screen, just the one board here. The first program I want to show you is the easiest, breeziest Canvas program you can possibly have. And what happens with it is you can put the canvas on the screen, but the canvas isn't activated. It's almost like you made a place for a picture on the screen, but you didn't bring in any pictures. So there's no picture there to do anything to, okay? There's a language, a computer language, that has the word context in it. They use the word context for a lot of things. And when you create a context for something, you actually create those variables that you can start to talk to. You can have an image of a window, like in the case of this canvas window we make. It doesn't do anything until you create a context for it, which means you have to create all of the mechanisms, the programming mechanisms that talk to the thing, okay? So there's 2 steps to it, and what I've done is I've eliminated all of those by putting it out of sight to you. But all we have to worry about is one thing. We have to create a canvas window. In order to use it, you have to create it. And it's a tag, just like any tag, video tag, any tag. It's just a tag. So let me just write it down. The first program, then we can embellish it as we go. get it going, you'd have to put something here, but currently we don't. We're just going to build the thing. Body. I'm going to center the thing, but this is not necessary. This is kind of what you want to do if you want to keep the thing looking good. And now, here's the actual canvas right here. As I said, it's a tag, just like any kind of tag. It's just a tag. And give it an ID. You got to give it an ID of some kind. And I'm going to call this one canvas 1. You can call anything you want. Give it an ID, and you have to give it a width. See how big it is. I'll give it 500 here. And the height. That's all you really need is these two guys. 500 pixels. Presumably, if you just put 500 and 500, it'll know what you're doing, so there won't be any problem. But I just put the pixels there so you know that it's just pixels. And so what that does, you start off, you have your big screen, HTML screen here. What that'll do is that'll just put this thing right here, right in the middle. I have no top or left, so I just use the align center to put it in the center there. So what happens is my windows always are right up against the top. There's a handy reason for that. You don't have to put a reason out. There's a handy reason for it because I'll be doing things that actually involve assuming it's up near the top there. But that's all that happens. What you're going to see then is just a little gray, or actually it doesn't have to be gray. You can color anything you want. If this was continued out, for example, you could have style equals, and you could have background color. Green, whatever. Whatever you want, whatever color you want to give it. So you can give it a background, a color on the background. I'm depending on what I'm doing writing, I do put backgrounds on things. You got to be careful though, again with backgrounds, you always have to be careful that whatever you draw over that background is visible. Sometimes people put pictures on backgrounds, for example, and that's really very bad because when you try to do anything, even if you're just typing, no matter what it is, it starts to get confounded with the background, and it gets so noisy you can't actually read things as quickly as you can if it's on just a flat, plain white background. So you got to be careful when you create background colors or images that they cause problems. Then right here you just have a slash body and slash HTML. This is the easy one, and that will create that right there, but you can't use it. It creates it, it sets it up, but you have to actually do something to make it activated. And that's what we're going to do today. Hopefully. So that's the basic. There's lots of ways of getting off the ground with this thing, and I just chose one randomly. You've already had experience with the mouse. Mouse down, mouse up, mouse drag. You've already seen that in action. So what I did was I said, okay, why don't I just make a simple program that actually uses the mouse to draw a simple picture, okay, draw something. And here's what I said, the easiest one to draw, if you once you have this thing here, the easiest one to draw would be this. You press the mouse down in the area, and then you drag it someplace and leave it up in this area. So it goes down here and goes up here, and have it draw a line between them. This is kind of easy breezy program. Because what I can do with the mouse controls, I can say is, where does the mouse go down? Where does the mouse go up? Draw a line between where it goes down and where it goes up. Because you can draw things in this language. Unlike on the screen, you can actually draw lines. Okay? So basically, I thought this would be a good program to start, because what happens is it's using the mouse, which you're already familiar with, and it allows you to draw something. So you have to use the command to draw in this canvas. So let me just keep moving here with the deal. If you're online, this should be the second program when we begin with Canvas. There are a couple of programs in front of everything. It's just they're just demos of using rotations and stuff. But okay, so this is the basic idea. And now what I want to do is I'm going to write a program, and here's what it's going to do. I'm going to be able to take my mouse over this area, drop it down, drag it someplace, and then let go, and then a line is going to appear between the two. Now, the line could have appeared while I'm dragging it. If it did, though, and I changed directions, it would be a very complicated program to try to keep the point that I'm dragging and the point where it's at, keeping that going. So what I did was I said, okay, we're not going to do that. I'm just going to do it simple. I'm going to push the mouse down. Nothing's going to happen until you let go. Then it draws the line for you. That's the easiest version of the program. Okay. When you go into Canvas, you have to, if you're going to use Canvas, if you to use it without the program include I'm giving you, you'd have to include a mouse, and you'd have to do a bunch of stuff to make the context come to life. That's what I'm trying to get you to avoid, because it's a bunch of junk. It's just junk stuff you have to write. So I'm trying to keep you away from that. So basically what I want to do is write a program that's clean, and it does everything that we are used to doing, and does it in this canvas, okay? I think there's another thing online called Canvas too, by the way. I don't know, it's just a little confounding there. So if you just look up Canvas, you'll liable to get a couple of other things. But if you say Canvas and you say HTML, it'll give you the right combination if you're looking up anything you want to do. Okay, to start off with, you have to have a script, okay? So here's my script here. This has to be in all of the programs where you're going to use your mouse and Canvas, okay? There it is. So that has to be there for you to use Canvas at all. And it also allows you to use your mouse. Now I have to tell you, remember when we use the mouse, when there's no Canvas, we just have mouse.js or mouse key, whatever. Those two guys will tell you the location of the mouse on the entire window. What this one will do is it will only tell you the location of the mouse in the canvas with respect to the canvas's location. And this is location 0 right here. This is location 500 in the X direction. This is location 0, and this is 500 in the Y direction. Because they're going to build the canvas with that width and that height, and that's how it works. Okay. I'm gonna write these down, and I'll explain what they are. Let me write them first, and I'll explain it. Very cool. these are actually the locations. Like when you take the mouse and you put it down, it's going to go down here. That's going to be where you push the mouse down. And then you go down here and you let it up. That's the location where it's going to go up. Okay. I wrote this program before I started shortcutting. I started doing shortcuts where I actually used the mouse's actual positions to do stuff. And in doing so, I created a virtual nightmare. So I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. So I'm going to leave these guys here in this program because what's online is actually what you normally see. So here's the mouse down. What happens? Remember, you've got to have mouse down. If you want to find out where the mouse is when it's clicked down, you have to have it because of that thing right there. Okay. So the first thing is the mouse is clicked down by somebody. Okay. What I do is I want to draw. I have a function that will allow me to draw between 2 points here. But what I have to do is I have to collect these points. I have to get that point and put it away so I have it, and then I drag down to here and I let go and I collect that point. And then what I say is draw a line between those 2 points. That's what I want to get to at this point. So basically, the mouse down gives you the down positions. So what I say is my x1 equals mouse x1. Does everybody realize what that is right there? That's just where the mouse goes. That's our regular function for where the mouse goes down. It goes down at x1. And the other one's y1. It goes down at my y1 equals mouse y1 underscore. Y1. This is the one right here. Okay, so right now, what it assumes is that I click the mouse down someplace, and it's taken the x came down to here, and pushed the x position in there and the y position in there. And I'm done. I've actually stored those away. Okay? Now the next thing that's going to happen is my mouse is going to go up someplace. So I have a function called mouse up. I'm going to put it over here. Oops. Function. Mouse up. So this is the one that says what happens when the mouse goes up. Well, when the mouse goes up, I grab, I say this thing right here, my x2 is equal to mouse x2 right here. Okay? That mouse x2 is what you get from that mouse canvas. That's what comes back down and tells you what you got. And this one, my y2 is equal to mouse y2 right here. Okay, now that I've got it, my y2, sorry. This is all bad. My y2, right? My x1, my x2, my y2. No, there's got to be a y in here. It looks weird, but it's got to be there. My y2 is what I used. Okay. So I got my x2 and my y2, and I collected them. Now I know the 2 points. And now what I want to do is I want to use a function that's built in that tells you draw a line between these 2 points. And here's what it looks like. It's called draw line. It comes with the territory. Once you do that, the thing is going to be activated. I want to go from my x1, comma, my y1 to my x2, comma, my y2. That's it. So basically what I'm saying is draw a line between this thing right here and this thing right here. It's a function. That's all it does. That's the JavaScript part of the program. Okay. So basically that takes care of that. And what I have to do is I have to unload the startup here. So I'm going to put all the stuff right here. Slash, let's see, script. slash head. Then I can say body. And the body has one thing that you got to put in. It's on load. This is because of the mouse deal. Capital L. Capital L here. On load equals startup. Again, it's the same as it is with the regular mouse. There we go. There it is. So basically what happens is when you get into the body, you have to say, okay, start up. That means turn this thing on so that it actually operates. So it now listens to the mouse to see what it's doing. So that's got to be there. And after you do the body part, then what you have to do, the only thing you have to do then is this right here, canvas. And you have to say how big it is. I gave it the ID. In this case, I gave it the ID canvas. I don't think we use it anywhere, so it doesn't make any difference. Yeah, I have an erasing thing. It's used it. I'm going to, so ID equals canvas in this case. This is the name I gave it in this program. And width 500. And the height is 500. And the background color and all that are optional, so I'll just end it right there. So this is what you get. Now, I've never experimented with this. I'm not sure if they actually. I assume they fixed this, but I think at one point it didn't work for me. But basically, you possibly could, if you wanted to, you can make a style sheet, put those guys in the style sheet. I think that's equally as possible. Equally, you can do that. Okay. I'm not confident about that. You should experiment before you trust it. And the only thing that would make a difference is the mouse has to know it's going from 0 to 500, and this actually tells it that. If they've got the style sheet organized so that it actually passes that information to the canvas, it'll work. If they don't, it won't work. I know this works, so for sure. Okay. Okay, so and that's the program, and then you can say slash body slash HTML. So what happens is you run the program, and you see the blank screen here. Then you push the mouse down any place, no matter where. And you drag down to here. And as soon as you get here to let up, a line appears between the 2 points. So it doesn't give you, it doesn't pre-tell you what's going to happen. You don't know until it happens. Okay. As I say, I could have done this differently. But let me tell you why I did do it differently. There's a reason why. Whenever you draw something on the canvas, it doesn't go away until you say erase the canvas. Okay, you have to erase the canvas to make it go away. So if I had designed this thing so that it did this, so when I started dragging the mouse, I just started dragging and drew this little piece of drag right here. It drew it for me. The next little piece of drag, it would erase the whole screen, and then that's all I'd have would be that. Unless I put the original one back again somehow, which means I'd have to keep storing the original ones to figure out where they are. Or I would have to store this original point right here, which I do have actually. And I could draw this line, but then what I'd still have to do at this point, in order to go down to this point, I'd have to erase the whole screen and then have it go again, because I might move my mouse over to here or something. So in other words, once you get into the problem of continuously drawing the line between the original point and the final point, you're going to have to erase the screen every single move you make and redraw the line again. So it has to be, you have to keep refreshing it. There's no problem with that. That can be done. But I don't think in the first program it was worth it was a little bit too kinky to deal with. So I just left this one. This one much easier to see how it works. Okay. So if you wrote this, unless I made some kind of mistake in writing it, this program should give you that ability to do that. And that's the first easy breezy, I think, program that you can write using Canvas. It's a simple one. Okay.
So for like the homework,
question?
for the homework, would you be putting for the SRC you would put mouse canvas.js.
Well, I'd be putting it in the homework. What I did is, you see, are you on the homework now? Okay, you see there's 4 programs here.
Yes.
The last 4 programs, I'm going to cover those 4 programs one at a time.
So you're talking about like the mouse up, mouse.
This is the one that it's a draw a line. What did he say? It's a draw a line program.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
I don't know if I missed your question.
No, for the homework it's mouse drag.
Oh, the homework's different.
Yeah, the homework's different.
Homework's different, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, homework's not that. There may be a mouse drag in the homework though. If there's a mouse in there, there will be.
Okay.
It's not related to this directly. By the way, all these automated homeworks, all the automated homeworks do is they just simply say, when you see this stuff, can you figure out what should go in that position? Because everything else tells you, and I know everything tells you this has to have a certain thing in it, but you have to figure out from what you've got what's going to be there. It's a little bit of an ordeal. There's some people that just search around for the words, but that's cheating, of course. So anyway, that's it. Let's go to the next one. The next one is a drawing program. It actually is a mouse drag program. It's the most standard. I think every single graphics program I've ever run, I always wrote that program first because it's the one everybody writes first. Is how do you draw a picture using this graphics program? How do you figure it out? And so I'm going to do that now for this program. Oh, I shouldn't erase that. Oh well. A little more work to do here. Okay, now, here's what this one's going to do. It's a little different. This one is going to allow you to take the mouse and just draw a picture with it. So, for example, you've got the screen up here, and you got this area here, which is your canvas. You just press the mouse down and drag around, you'll be able to draw a continuous line, whatever you want to do, let up and draw again, continuous line. And also it has one other little feature. It has an erase down here. Erase the screen, because it would be good to erase the screen. The previous one might have had that too, by the way. But basically, erasing the screen is kind of cool because what you do is you draw something you don't like, you just hit the erase button and it goes away. It is possible to back up. I mean, that is very possible to do. But again, it's the kind of programming that takes you into stuff that's just not worth it in the beginning. After a while, you can plug it in. But when you have to back up a little bit rather than all the way, going all the way back, you just erase the whole screen. It's when you back up a little bit that it becomes complicated, because how far do you back up? How many steps do you back up and all that? You have to deal with all that. So I avoid that in the beginning of these drawing programs, but I'll show you how it's not that hard to do, except that it's another complication. So, okay, so that's what our program's going to do. It's going to allow us to drag the mouse, draw a picture, and we can let up on the mouse and go someplace else without dragging and drawing a picture. It keeps whatever you've got. That's the trick, is whatever you draw down there, it stays there. That's what this thing does for you. And that, again, is the part that we avoided in the previous program. Okay, so this one here requires the mouse to be put down, dragged, and let go. It requires all of those things, okay? See, basically, wherever you put the mouse down, it begins to draw. As soon as you drag, it begins to draw. As soon as you let go, you move the mouse and it doesn't draw anymore. So that's the whole trick. Draw while I'm down, but don't draw while I'm up. Okay, so this was, this script is here again. Can I just avoid all the writing? This script right here is the one that's got the mouse canvas in it. And so forth. In other words, this is the same line as I had in the previous program. Okay, it's the mouse canvas. It says we're going to use the mouse canvas. We're going to use that. That's okay, so we go here. again, what I'm going to have to do is put in some variables here that are the ones where the mouse goes down, where it goes up. And another thing we need here is we need to know where the mouse is dragged. That's the thing, is we need three pieces of information. Where the mouse goes down, and we drag it, and then eventually we let up on it. So the thing is, what it really needs is to know where the mouse goes down, and as it drags, it has to know where it is, so it can connect all the dots together. And then finally, when you let go, so it stops drawing. So we have three functions here. It's mouse down, mouse up, and mouse drag, okay? And it's just like our previous programs with the mouse. When you press the mouse down, the drag flag goes on, so it knows the mouse is down. And it will only do what you tell it to do as long as that mouse is down, okay? Interestingly, in this program, I don't even test the drag flag. I just assume that it's down. And I'll have to tell you why in a second here. But let's do it. Okay, start off with, it's got a bunch of variables. This one here. This is where the mouse goes down. My x1 equals 0. And variable my y1 equals 0. So that's where the mouse goes down, that's that position. I'm going to variable my x2 equals 0, and variable my y2 equals 0, and that's where the mouse goes up, okay? Okay, I failed you. Right off the bat, I screwed you up. Hope you guys aren't writing it. Write in pencil. It'd be safe to write in ink to me. I don't care about where it goes up. What I really care about is where it's dragging to. So it's my yd, xd first, xd equals 0, and variable my yd equals 0. The xd and yd says, as the mouse drags, I want to know where it is. So obviously it's not going to give me a mouse up on that. It's not going to jump to a mouse up, it's going to jump to a mouse drag. So basically, when it jumps to a mouse drag, I say, where is the mouse now? Which is the mouse underscore yd. So that's x, yd, and y, yd. And so this is the information I really need. Now this is a really weird one here. This program is introducing something, an idea, that I think you should sort of hook onto a little bit. Drag x 0 variable old drag y 0. It's old drag x and old drag y. It's right there. Old drag x, old drag y. Okay. Here's what happens. You put your mouse down, and you drag from here to here, okay? Well, it says, well, that's x1, y1 right there, because I put the mouse down there. And this one over here is a yd1, xd1, and yd1, okay? So it draws the line between the two. Well, that's nice, but what happens in this, I start to move over here the next time, okay? Well, the thing is, if I'm picking up xd and yd from mouse, this is going to be knocked out by the new information. It's going to give me new information. It's going to screw it up. So what I do is, as soon as I get to this point right here and I use this information, I store it in these guys right here. That's the old point. Now what I do is when I go to this one, it says, okay, this is my current drag, so I want to draw a picture from the old one, this guy, to my current one. And then I take this one and put it in here. In other words, what I keep doing is, after I draw it, I take the current mouse drag position and put it in the old drag position. And then the new mouse drag position is what I connect to. And I keep connecting to it. So basically I keep dragging like this and making these connections from the old to the new. And that's how you do it. Many programs require you to do that. It takes the current information, it does whatever you can do with it, and then it stores it in the old information because you're going to have to connect up between the new current and that old current again, that old previous current again. So therefore you need this kind of a thing to store these two guys. After they're used, you store them in here. And so what you're constantly doing is connecting a dot from the old to the new. That's what you're really doing. You're drawing from the old to the new ones as, repeatedly over and over and over again. Every time it sees a drag, it says, this is my new drag position. Draw a picture from that old position to the new one. And it keeps doing it over and over. So let me do the rest of the code and then talk about it. First of all, you got function mouse down. Mouse down. And that's actually, what you do is you say old drag x. You'll see why this is exactly what I said causes this to be true. Mouse x1 and old drag y equals mouse y1. And that's the unit right there. So see what I do when I put the mouse down, I immediately put the current mouse down position into these two guys. Question?
Do there need to be semicolons after the variable old drag x and y?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Should be.
I wasn't sure.
By the way, another thing I should remind you, JavaScript's not consistent. Sometimes it will work with not putting semicolons in. I do not know why that is. I don't know if it's an error in their interpreter or what it is, but every once in a while I'll forget one and it'll work perfectly well. And I think, kind of scary, but it does. But try to put them in because there are some that it will not work. Of course, you don't want one there, of course, but some won't work. And so here you have, you can see what happens is the first thing I do is I put the mouse down, I don't make any mark at all. I just simply say store these in old drag x and old drag y. So now what I'm ready to do, I'm ready to draw between that point and the next one. When I get to the next one, as soon as I drag, it's going to start coming into the drag function. This is the mouse down function, it doesn't do anything. And then you go to the mouse drag function, it looks like this, function. Let me do the mouse up first because that was the one I did in this order. I want to be sure they're in the same order. What the mouse up function does is it says a drag flag is equal to 0. I didn't use a drag flag here. See, why did the drag flag equal to 1? It should be down here. I missed the thing. Should have turned it onto 1 right here. Let me see why if I miss this. Oh yeah, I did. Sorry. It goes right in here. I just didn't see it. So you should have a variable drag flag equals 0. You set it equal to 0 to start with. And what you do is, as soon as you start dragging, you set it off. So that way you know your mouse is down, right? Otherwise you're moving your mouse around without dragging. You don't want anything to draw. You only want to draw when that thing is set. So as soon as you set the mouse down, it sets that drag flag. And when you leave the mouse up, it turns it back to 0. So it no longer does it. Okay. Now it turned out, interestingly, let me do the next one here. Function mouse drag. It turns out, because of the nature of this program, this program is weird. This program just cares about you dropping that mouse down and dragging, and it will draw wherever you do it. It doesn't make any difference. There's no off zone. Every zone in that 500 by 500 is legal. You press the mouse down, you start dragging. Well, it won't come to mouse drag unless you are dragging. And you're only dragging in this particular program, you're only dragging if you're drawing. Because if you drag, it draws. So in other words, there is no, in the previous programs we had, like we'd have a picture and another picture. We wanted to be sure we hit the right picture. So what we had to do is we had to grab a hold of the picture. We had to signify we've got this picture. So set its drag flag up. Or we hit this picture, set its drag flag up. Or we hit no picture. That, in the case of I'm dragging, nothing moves. In this case, it's totally different. In this case, everything you push down and start to drag will draw. So therefore, as soon as this mouse drag is hit from up there, it says you're dragging, it knows immediately that you have already pressed the mouse down. It understands that, and wherever you press it down. So in other words, you don't have to say if drag flag, I'm going to put it in anyway, flag equals 0, return. This would, in a normal program, this would be true. This is what you would do, because you could possibly drag in the wrong place. You'd be dragging and not dragging the item you want to drag. In this program, whatever you drag will draw. It doesn't care where you draw. You just push down and draw. So therefore, we don't really need this instruction. Do you see what I'm saying now? That makes sense? So in some programs, you do need that, because there's alternative possibilities of dragging in the wrong place. In this one, it wouldn't need it. That's the reason why in this program, if you see, look at it online, it doesn't have a drag test, because it didn't need one. But anyway, let me keep going here. So the first thing I want to do is, once I drag the thing, I want to take the drag X and the drag Y, I want to grab those right away. So I say my XD, which is up there someplace, right there, is equal to mouse XD, right there, and my YD, that's all one word, by the way, one thing here, is that one thing. XD is like one thing right there. My YD is equal to mouse underscore YD. So what I've done is I've transferred the current mouse drag coordinates to these guys right here. So they're in this position right here. That's where I am now. This is my current position after I do that. That's my current position. So I say is, now what I want to do is, I want to draw a line, just like I did in the previous program. I want to draw a line between the old drag drag X, comma, old drag Y, to my current position, which is my XD, comma, my YD, like that. So basically what I'm saying is draw a line between the previous position that I was at, right here, that I stored right here, and then I want to draw between that old position and my current position, which is here. So now what happens is, now that I've drawn that line, the first thing I want to do is I want to move the current drag position into the old position. So next time I hit this function, it'll do it again, do the same thing. So what I have to do is I have to do a couple of things here. Say old drag X. Oops, God. Let's just write my name here. Drag X is equal to the current X, my XD, semicolon, an old drag Y, old drag Y is equal to my YD. That's it. Yeah. So basically what I'm saying is old drag X equals my XD. So I'm taking my current position and putting it into the old position, like right here. My current position, putting it into there. Taking my current position and putting it into here. And then I think that's the end of the function. Be sure I don't miss anything. That's it. So after I get through that, end of function. There it is. So, that part right there, those things, I think those things are the whole, yeah, that's the whole program, the JavaScript part of the program. So let me just, one more time, be sure I hit the highlights of this thing. You're going to have the script that says mouse canvas because you're using the mouse, and we're on canvas. And so what happens is you have a variable x1 and y1, which simply tells you where you are initially. That's your initial position, I believe. No, it isn't even your initial position. I don't even use this, do I? Nope, I don't use it anywhere. Not necessary. These guys right here weren't even used. When I first wrote the program, I thought I was going to use it, but I didn't get to use them. So what happens is the only thing you're concerned about now is the old position and the current position of you when you're dragging. That's all you're really concerned about is these two values here. So you start off, you press the mouse down, immediately it puts the current mouse down position into the old drag position. So now these got values in them. And then what happens is when you start to drag, it jumps down to this routine and says, okay, take the mouse XD and put it in my XD, and take mouse YD and put it to my YD, and then draw a line between the old drag X, drag Y, and my XD and my YD. So in other words, it just simply draws a line between this position and this position, whatever the position this is, and this position here. And then what it does, it says, okay, now that I've drawn that line, now move my current position into the old X and my current Y into the old Y, get out of the routine, and then when the drag calls up again, everything will be lined up to do it again. Your current position will be your current position, and your old drag will be the old drag position. Does that kind of make sense to you? It's like keeping track of where you've been. You have to do that. That is a notion that occurs in programming everywhere, all over the place. It's very, very common logic problems you have to deal with. Okay, that because time passes, for example, when you have to draw something between old time and new time, or whatever you got to do. Even calculations between old period of time and new period of time to get differences. Like if you're writing a calculus program, you're probably going to have, you're going to have to do something like that. So all these things, set of ideas sort of permeate the entire, is that okay? It's just, I'm just describing it. You actually, when you run it, you can look at it, see how it works, and figure it out. There might be lines of code in these other programs that I'm showing on the board, but they're not essential. They're kind of like, hopefully, they're kind of like, put things in the middle of the board and stuff like, in the middle of the screen and stuff like that. So you should be able to do it. Okay, if you have any questions, away it goes. The last one, the last of these three here, there's 4 programs. I'm going to describe this one physically on the board, and I'm not going to go through all the code because it's online anyway, but you'll be able to see from what I describe why it works the way it works. So in other words, this one here, the 4th program of today's list of programs, the last one, today's list of programs, just sort of look at it and try to compare it to the description I give to you. To begin with, as I said previously, I always let the canvas, put it up in the middle of the top of the screen. So when you have a screen, you have this kind of deal here, and the canvas is usually sitting right up at the top here, like so. Okay? But in this case right here, because I wanted to make it clear what was going on, no, I left it at the top. I did leave it at the top. I didn't move it. Okay, so yeah, I left it up there. So here's what happens. Back in 1982, there was a guy named Bill Budge. What a weird name, Bill Budge. Bill Budge invented something off the cuff. He just stumbled onto this on his own. It was just his own idea. It was kind of a crazy idea. He invented a program that you could make a pinball machine by moving all the buffers and everything into the thing, and then you could press the button, it would start to run, and you could make the ball go up and bounce off all the bounds. And so that part of it was interesting enough. But the most important thing that he did, which he didn't realize at the time, was he invented a toolbox, which is something we'd never seen before. It was like brand new. Visual computer stuff was brand new to us. So what happened was we had this screen, and over here he would have like a bumper or a cross type bumper of some kind, or a thing that went like that. He had these different tools. And what you do is you grab the tool and you put it up on the thing, and it turned into it turned into something that would actually work. Then your pool ball would come out and it would bounce around and all that, all through the thing. But the thing was, he invented this toolkit over here. And it was a great idea of taking the tool and just dragging it to where you want it to be done. Well, we can do that too. We can do that in here without going through. His was quite complicated. Ours is going to be simple. But the idea of having a toolbox rather than having to have some kind of key code that they type in to make something happen works really, really well. The program, the last program in this group here, actually I should make it even bigger because I want to be sure I write everything in. I'll make it bigger than even here. Let's say the screen is giant, like so. And in the screen you got this great big thing here. This is the, that's a canvas, okay? And what you do is, you have to draw some lines on the canvas. You have to draw a line like right here, and right here. You draw the lines on the canvas using the same drawing program we just used. You do it by drawing between, you draw a line between this point, 0 and 500. And between this 0 and whatever that is, I think it's 50, and this 0 and 50, you draw it in those positions. So by doing that, what you've done is you've isolated the toolbox from the field where things take place. Almost like in his case, that's where all the bumpers would be, and this is where the game's going to be constructed, okay? In our case, what I did was I had like a shrub. Let's see if I put the right names down here. I think it's called grass. Yeah, it's called grass. It's normal kind of grass, not the other kind. This is, then you got red flower. I'm not sure if these are in the right order, by the way.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Oh, in the wrong order?
Yeah, that's how it is.
It's like this, okay, good. So, what you have is you have these three boxes you built. What you have to do is, you have to say, this right here is 50, okay? And this line right here is 166 right here, I think. This one right here is 332. In other words, that's the X direction right here. That's the X direction right here. And this is like 50. So here's what you have to do. You have to say, well, if your mouse drops down less than 50, it's going to be in one of these areas. And then what you do is you say, if the mouse also is less than 166, it's in this area. If it's less than 332, it's in this area. Otherwise, it's in this area. So in other words, if it's above 50, it's in one of these three areas. Depending on which one you hit, the routine looks at it and says, oh, they dropped down less than 166. Turn on the grass. This one says turn on red. This one says turn on the yellow. So basically, any of these three can be turned on. And there goes my voice. Any of these can be turned on by clicking the mouse in. And then what you do is when you press the mouse someplace else, outside of that area, whatever one of these things has been turned on drops a picture off at this area. Okay? I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to get online with this thing. Let's let me get it set up. It's easy to describe it to you. Give me a few minutes, you guys.
Looking at it right here, it's really cool.